The launch was supposed to be simple. No one expected history. Inside Nike headquarters, executives had spent months preparing for the release. Marketing teams had finalized every detail. Warehouses had been stocked. Servers had been tested. Analysts had projected strong sales numbers. Everything appeared ready. What nobody realized was that they were about to witness one of the most extraordinary merchandise launches in modern tennis history. The collection belonged to one athlete, one young Filipina who had captured the hearts of millions around the world. Alex Eala. For years, fans had watched her rise from a promising junior talent into one of the most exciting names in global tennis. They had followed every victory, celebrated every milestone, and proudly supported her journey on the international stage. Now, for the first time ever, Nike was giving her something few athletes ever receive: a signature collection. It was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it became a phenomenon. And before the day was over, Nike itself would be left completely stunned. The story began on a warm June morning in Manila. Across the Philippines, thousands of alarms had been set. Students woke up early before classes. Office workers checked their phones before heading to work. Families gathered around laptops. Fans who lived overseas adjusted their schedules and stayed awake through the night. Everyone was waiting for the same moment. Everyone was counting down to the same launch. At exactly 9 a.m. Manila time, the timer on Nike's website finally reached 0. The collection was live. What happened next shocked everyone. Within seconds, traffic flooded the website. Thousands became tens of thousands. Tens of thousands became hundreds of thousands. People from the Philippines, the United States, Canada, Australia, Japan, the United Kingdom, and countless other countries all rushed online at exactly the same moment. The demand was overwhelming. Fans clicked refresh, then refreshed again, then again. Many couldn't even load the website. Error messages began appearing almost immediately. Pages froze. Checkout systems slowed down. Entire sections of the site became inaccessible. For a brief moment, nobody understood what was happening. Then the realization spread across social media. Nike's website was struggling to handle the traffic. The launch had generated a surge far beyond expectations. Within just 30 seconds, the site experienced severe disruptions as fans desperately tried to access the collection. The reaction online was instant. "My page won't load. Did the site crash? I've been refreshing for 10 minutes. Please don't let the shoes sell out." Across social media platforms, screenshots began appearing everywhere. The excitement was turning into panic. People feared they might miss their chance. Because this wasn't just another merchandise release. For many Filipinos, this collection represented something deeper. It represented pride. It represented identity. It represented seeing someone from their country succeed on one of the world's biggest stages. That emotional connection transformed the launch into something much bigger than fashion. It became personal. The collection itself had been carefully designed to tell Alex's story. Every item carried meaning. Every detail reflected her journey. The centerpiece of the collection was inspired by the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. Small, delicate, and beautiful, the flower has long symbolized purity, resilience, and hope. Nike designers spent months incorporating those themes into every piece. The result was breathtaking. A tennis dress inspired by the colors of the Philippine flag. A warm-up jacket featuring intricate sampaguita embroidery along the sleeves. Caps and shirts displaying elegant designs that blended modern sportswear with Filipino culture. But the most sought-after item was undoubtedly the footwear. The limited edition Nike Court Air Zoom shoes quickly became the crown jewel of the collection. The design immediately captured attention. One shoe featured the iconic Philippine Sundae. The other displayed Alex Eala's signature. Together, they represented the union of national pride and personal achievement. For collectors, they were a dream. For fans, they were a symbol. And for Nike, they would soon become something else entirely. Proof of a superstar's global impact. As the hours passed, demand only intensified. Every few minutes, another item sold out. The shirts disappeared. The caps vanished. The headbands were gone. Fans watched inventory counters drop in real time. Some celebrated online after successfully placing orders. Others expressed frustration after missing out. Yet despite the technical issues, one thing became increasingly clear. This launch was operating on a completely different level. Even veteran retail analysts began taking notice. The sales velocity was extraordinary. Products weren't merely selling. They were disappearing. By late morning, Nike's internal teams were reportedly monitoring the numbers with growing disbelief. Every updated report revealed the same trend. Demand continued accelerating. No slowdown. No plateau. No sign that interest was fading. At headquarters, executives who had initially expected a successful launch now found themselves witnessing something historic. The collection was on pace to break every internal projection. And it wasn't even lunchtime. Across the Philippines, conversations about Alex Eala dominated social media. News outlets began publishing updates. Television programs discussed the phenomenon. Influencers shared screenshots of sold-out products. Athletes congratulated Alex on the unprecedented success. The launch had evolved into a national event. People who weren't even tennis fans were suddenly paying attention. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How big could this become? The answer arrived shortly after 1 p.m. At exactly 1 p.m., Nike's inventory system delivered the update nobody expected. Everything was gone. Every item, every size, every color variation, every product, sold out. The tennis dresses were gone. The jackets gone. The shirts, caps, socks, and accessories were gone. Most astonishing of all, the limited edition shoes had completely disappeared. In just 4 hours, an entire collection had been wiped clean. Nothing remained. The launch was officially over. Yet the story was only beginning. Inside Nike, reactions ranged from excitement to disbelief. Executives reportedly reviewed the numbers multiple times. Analysts double-checked sales reports. Marketing teams compare results against previous athlete launches. The conclusion was impossible to ignore. This was unlike anything they had anticipated. A representative from Nike Philippines later described the situation as unprecedented. "We've seen strong launches before," the representative explained. But this was different. The demand exceeded every projection we had prepared for. Those words quickly spread across media outlets. Fans celebrated. Supporters shared screenshots of their purchases. Collectors immediately began discussing the collection's future value. And throughout it all, one person remained largely unaware of the scale of what had happened. Alex Eala herself. At the time of the launch, she was in London preparing for the grass court season. While millions of fans were scrambling to buy merchandise, Alex was focused on training, practices, recovery sessions, strategy meetings, the usual routine of a professional athlete. She knew the collection had launched. She expected people would be excited. But she had no idea that an entire country had effectively stormed Nike's website. That realization wouldn't come until the next morning. The following day began like any other. London's skies were gray. The city moved at its usual pace. Inside her hotel, Alex prepared for another day of training. Then there was a knock at the door. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Hotels received deliveries all the time. But this delivery was different. Waiting outside was a large luxury package. The box featured custom Nike branding. Her name was elegantly printed across the front. Curious, Alex brought it inside. What she discovered left her speechless. Inside was one of the most personal gifts she had ever received. Nike had created a completely customized commemorative package celebrating the launch's historic success. The presentation was extraordinary. Luxury materials, personalized engravings, special messages, exclusive memorabilia. Everything had been carefully crafted to honor the achievement. But what truly moved Alex was not the value of the items. It was the message attached to them. The note explained that the gift wasn't being sent because the collection sold out. It wasn't about revenue. It wasn't about numbers. It wasn't even about business. It was about impact. Nike wanted Alex to understand what she had accomplished. Her collection had become more than a product launch. It had become a cultural moment, a source of inspiration, a symbol of pride for millions of people who saw themselves reflected in her success. As Alex read the message, emotions reportedly overwhelmed her, because beneath every statistic was a human story. Students who saved money for months, parents buying gifts for their children, young athletes dreaming of following in her footsteps, fans staying awake all night hoping to secure a piece of history. That was what the collection truly represented: connection, belief, hope. The gift recognized something deeper than commercial success. It recognized influence. And influence cannot be measured by inventory reports. News of Nike's gesture quickly spread. Fans were fascinated. Many called it the most meaningful gift of Alex's career. Not because it was expensive, not because it was luxurious, but because it represented recognition. Recognition that Alex Eala had become more than a tennis player. She had become a symbol of possibility, a symbol of perseverance, a symbol of what can happen when talent, hard work, and national pride come together. The sold-out collection was merely evidence of that reality. The true achievement was the connection she had built with millions of people around the world. In the days that followed, discussions about the launch continued everywhere. Sports analysts examined the numbers. Marketing experts studied the phenomenon. Fans continued sharing photos of their purchases. Even people outside the tennis community began paying attention. The launch had transcended sports. It had become a cultural event. For Nike, the success reinforced Alex's growing status as one of the most influential young athletes in the world. For fans, it was validation of what they had believed all along. And for Alex herself, it served as a reminder that her journey was inspiring far more people than she could ever see from a tennis court. The website crash, the sold-out inventory, the record-breaking demand, the luxury gift. All of those moments were remarkable, but perhaps the most important takeaway was something simpler. Millions of people believed in her. They believed in her story. They believed in what she represented. And on that unforgettable June morning, they showed the world exactly how powerful that belief had become. What began as a routine merchandise launch ended as a historic celebration. A celebration of a young Filipina athlete. A celebration of national pride. And a celebration of a connection between a star and her supporters that no sales report could ever fully capture. Because in the end, the greatest achievement wasn't selling out a collection in 4 hours. It was inspiring millions in the process. And that may be the most valuable gift Alex Eala received of all. Sports history has seen iconic athlete partnerships before. Fans have watched legends like LeBron James, Serena Williams, and Cristiano Ronaldo build global brands that transcend their sports. Their names became synonymous with influence, inspiration, and commercial success. But what was happening with Alex Eala felt different. This wasn't simply about a superstar athlete launching a product. This was an entire nation showing up. The phenomenon that fans had begun calling the Eala effect had not appeared overnight. It had been growing steadily for years, quietly gathering momentum with every tournament, every breakthrough performance, and every milestone she achieved on the international stage. Long before the signature collection sold out in record time, there were already signs that something extraordinary was taking shape. At the Australian Open, Alex found herself featured prominently in Nike's global marketing campaigns alongside some of the biggest stars in tennis. Among them were reigning champions, Grand Slam winners, and household names known across the sporting world. The message from Nike was unmistakable. They were no longer viewing Alex simply as a promising young player. They viewed her as part of the future. A future star capable of carrying the sport into a new era. That belief became even more visible during her visit to Nike's global headquarters in Oregon. Inside the company's legendary athlete tunnel, a hallway reserved for some of the greatest sports figures of all time, Alex discovered something remarkable. Her story had become part of Nike's story. Portraits documenting her journey lined the corridor. Images captured defining moments from her career. The photographs told the story of a determined young girl who left home at just 13 years old to pursue an impossible dream. A girl who traveled thousands of miles away from her family. A girl who endured homesickness, sacrifice, and uncertainty. A girl who refused to quit. Now that same girl stood among some of the most celebrated athletes on the planet. Yet even those honors could not compare to what happened in June 2026. Because this moment wasn't about rankings. It wasn't about trophies. It wasn't about television ratings. And it wasn't about social media followers. This was commerce. This was consumer behavior. This was a direct and measurable reflection of cultural influence. And within a matter of hours, Alex Eala demonstrated something that stunned the sports marketing industry. Her connection with fans extended far beyond tennis. The sold-out collection became undeniable proof that millions of people weren't simply supporting an athlete. They were supporting a symbol, a movement, a source of national pride. As the launch unfolded, Nike executives around the world monitored the results in real time. What they saw exceeded even the most optimistic expectations. Sales climbed at a breathtaking pace. Inventory disappeared faster than analysts believed possible. Every update seemed more unbelievable than the last. The launch had transformed from a commercial success into a historic event. At Nike Philippines headquarters in Manila, the mood inside the boardroom shifted from excitement to disbelief. Large digital displays covered the walls. Charts tracked sales performance. Forecasts compared projections against actual demand. And everywhere executives looked, the same pattern emerged. Targets were being shattered. Product categories were disappearing. Inventory levels were collapsing under relentless demand. Red bars stretched far beyond forecasted expectations. Green indicators flashed sold out across screen after screen. Analysts sat quietly reviewing the numbers. Some refreshed dashboards repeatedly. Others checked calculations again and again. Nobody wanted to believe what they were seeing. Yet the data remained unchanged. The collection had become one of the most successful athlete launches in company history. While exact figures remained confidential, sources familiar with the launch described results that exceeded internal expectations by more than 300%. 300%. Even for a company with Nike's experience, that level of overperformance was almost unheard of. The demand became so intense that parts of Nike's digital infrastructure struggled to keep pace. Servers designed for major global launches faced hundreds of thousands of simultaneous visitors. Pages slowed. Checkout systems experienced delays. Traffic surged beyond projected limits. The internet itself seemed unable to keep up with the Eala effect. And perhaps the most fascinating discovery came after analysts examined who was actually buying the products. The answer revealed something far deeper than a successful marketing campaign. Nike's internal data showed a global pattern unlike anything they had anticipated. Orders poured in from every corner of the world. Manila, Cebu, Davao, Los Angeles, San Francisco, London,
Dubai,
Singapore, Tokyo,
Sydney,
Toronto. The list seemed endless. Wherever Filipino communities existed, demand exploded. The global Filipino diaspora had arrived. Not quietly, not gradually, but with overwhelming force. The launch became a powerful demonstration of something often discussed, but rarely measured: the immense cultural and economic strength of Filipinos around the world. For years, supporters had followed Alex's journey from junior tournaments to professional competition. Now they were expressing that support in a completely different way. Not through cheers from the stands, not through social media posts, but through action, through participation, through ownership, through pride. Yet the roots of this phenomenon stretched back much further than the collection itself. To understand why the launch resonated so deeply, one must return to Wimbledon in 2025. At the time, Nike presented Alex with what appeared to be a simple gift: a custom Sampaguita hair tie. Beautiful, thoughtful, symbolic, but seemingly modest. The gift arrived inside a woven presentation box engraved with a Tagalog proverb: Kung may tanim, may anahin. What is planted today will eventually be harvested. Accompanying the gift was a handwritten note that would later become famous among fans. The Sampaguita, delicate, radiant, resilient, is more than the Philippines' national flower. It is strength. It is belief. It is home. The words struck a powerful emotional chord. When Alex stepped onto the grass courts of Wimbledon wearing the Sampaguita hair tie, the image instantly captured attention. A small white flower. A young Filipina athlete. One of the most prestigious stages in sports. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. The photograph quickly spread across social media. Fans embraced it. Media outlets discussed it. And what began as a simple accessory gradually evolved into a cultural symbol. Months later, the story continued. Alex appeared on the cover of Vogue Philippines wearing a special Nike Bloom t-shirt designed by Manila-based artist Georgina Camus. The artwork depicted a Sampaguita flower blooming across a tennis court. It represented growth, transformation, potential. The image captured everything Alex's journey had come to symbolize. Speaking about the design, Camus described it as a tribute to discipline, courage, and full-circle growth. A message intended to inspire future generations to bloom in their own time. Those themes resonated deeply with supporters. Because Alex's story had never been just about tennis. It was about possibility. It was about what could happen when talent met opportunity, when sacrifice met perseverance, when dreams met belief. By the time the signature collection launched in 2026, the connection between Alex, Nike, and Filipino fans had evolved into something much larger than a traditional athlete sponsorship. It had become a shared story, a shared identity, a shared journey. The collection represented years of emotional investment, years of support, years of watching one young athlete carry the hopes of a nation onto courts around the world. That was why the launch felt different. That was why fans lined up digitally across continents. That was why websites crashed. That was why inventory vanished. And that was why the sold-out collection became more than a business success. It became the culmination of a movement. Yet despite all the headlines, all the records, and all the extraordinary numbers, the most meaningful moment was still waiting to happen. The next morning in London, everything changed again. The clock read 8 a.m. The city was only beginning to wake. Inside her hotel room, Alex Eala was recovering from a demanding practice session at Queen's Club. The previous day's excitement felt distant. The launch was over. The collection was sold out. The headlines were already spreading. Then came a knock at the door. Unexpected. Quiet. Ordinary. At least at first. Alex opened the door and found a private courier standing in the hallway. In his hands was a sleek black box. No branding covered the exterior except a single silver Nike swoosh embossed across the lid. Elegant. Minimal. Mysterious. Delivery for Miss Eala, the courier said. After signing, she carried the package inside. Something immediately felt different. Nike had sent gifts before, but this one felt heavier, more substantial, more personal. She placed the box carefully on a small table near the window. For a moment, she simply stared at it. Then she lifted the lid. Inside, resting against black velvet, was a breathtaking custom-made gold necklace. The pendant was shaped like a Sampaguita flower. Every petal had been crafted with extraordinary precision. The craftsmanship was exquisite, delicate, elegant, timeless. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't oversized. It wasn't designed to attract attention. It was designed to carry meaning. Beneath the necklace sat a handwritten letter. The handwriting looked familiar. Very familiar. It was the same style that had appeared on the note accompanying the Sampaguita hair tie a year earlier. Alex unfolded the message. At the top were 5 simple words. History in full bloom. Then came a sentence that instantly brought everything full circle. The bloom has only just begun. Tucked beneath the letter was another card referencing one of Alex's earlier social media posts. A post in which she had described the Sampaguita as a reminder of where she came from. A reminder of everything that brought her to this moment. Below those words was a new message written specifically for her. You carry it with you in every move. You've planted the seeds. You've weathered the storms. Now it's time to bloom. For several moments, Alex simply stared at the necklace, then at the note, then back at the necklace. The significance washed over her. Less than 24 hours earlier, The world had been talking about sales figures, about inventory, about records, about demand. But none of those things mattered now. What mattered was the message. Because the necklace wasn't celebrating commercial success. It was celebrating a journey. A 13-year-old girl leaving home. A teenager chasing a dream in Spain. A young athlete enduring setbacks and sacrifices. A player carrying the hopes of millions. The gift wasn't about products. It was about purpose. And in that quiet London hotel room, Nike reminded Alex Eala of something more important than any sales number. Why she started, how far she had come, and how much further she could still go. The bloom, as Nike had written years earlier, had only just begun.